Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today we'll be going through question number 2. As you can see, we have the question on the screen. So question number 2 has about 3 questions in it, and we'll be doing that now. So 2A, 10 students in a class write a test. The marks are out of 10. All the marks are entered in an external file marks. External file name marks. Write a program which will read all 10 marks from the file and find and display the average mark. So let's go to our Fortran file. As you can see, my Fortran file is open already, which is example 2. So we're going to name this program grades. So we're dealing with grades. And the next thing we have to do is to create our external file. I have created my external file, which is inside the same folder as my Fortran file. You can see marks, and this is my example and my Fortran file rather. As you can see, we have 10 scores in the marks.txt. We have 2, 3, 7, 2, then up to 10, 5, and 2. So this is the file. Make sure the file is in the same folder as your Fortran file. Okay, let's go back to our Fortran file. So the next thing we have to do is to open our marks.txt. So to open that, we're going to open it like this using open command or open function. Open, then one. Then we're going to write the name of the file. What's the name of the file? The name of the file is marks. Make sure if your file is in all caps like this, make sure you're also putting in all caps. So we've opened our file. Next thing, before we open our file, we have to declare something, which we have to declare an array that we're going to store the 10 values of the 10 scores in. So to declare that, so I'm going to just put declare variables. To declare that, I'm going to make that real instead of integers, because we can have a mark that is about 2 point something. For instance, now I can come here and like add maybe 9.5 or something like that. That's why I'm making this a real value. Then dimension is going to state the size of the array. So the size of our array that we need right now is 10, which will indicate these 10 students we have here, 10 students and the 10 marks we have in the file. So I'm going to name the array marks by students. Marks by students. That's what I'm going to name it. So let me explain what this means again. So real means indicates the type of value we're going to store in the array. Dimension indicates the size of the array. So that's why we have 10 here. That tells us that we want to store 10 values in the array. So moving on, we're going to read after we open marks.txt. We're going to read marks.txt. So to read that, we're going to use a read function. Then open one. Then we're going to open it to marks.txt. Sorry, to marks by student. So these two functions are by these two functions we've opened and read everything that is inside this marks.txt file. So moving on, let me read the question again. The first question asks us to write a program that will read all 10 marks from the file, which we've done. Then find and display the average mark. Before I move on, I forgot to comment this, so I'm going to comment this as opening marks.txt. Don't forget, this is an exam, so teachers will be looking at comments as well to allocate marks. Then reading marks.txt. Okay, so then moving on, the next thing is to find and display the average mark. So to find average mark, somebody just going to write in the comments here, average is equals to total divided by number of items. So to do that in Fortran, the way we can just write average, declare another variable called average. Say variable here, average. We're going to put in to get the total value of the values in max by students array. To do that, we're going to use sum. That's going to add everything in max by students divided by size. Size is to get the size of the array. So yeah, then we're going to print out the average. So I'm just going to write the average is UVG. So let's run that and see. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Yes. So let's run that and see what we did, whether it works. So you can see that the average is 5. So next thing is to confirm if the average is actually 5. So let's come here and add everything together. We can see 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 plus 7 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. 14 plus 8 is 22. 22 plus 9 is 31. 31 plus 2 is 33. 33 plus 10, 43. 43 plus 7, that's 50. And 50 divided by 10 is 5. So that concludes 1A. Okay, let me see. Yeah, right? Yes, that concludes 1A. So I'm just going to comment this out. No, if I comment it out, I'm going to put in something here to indicate that this is 2A. Then I'm going to comment everything out. So the next question is, if the pass mark for the test in question 3A above is 5 out of 10, write a Fortran program using an if or then to find out how many students passed the test. So let's create another program here. I have said we should use the program we have on top here, but to secure our marks, I'll just say we should write another program because it is another question. So I'm going to do grade system. I think I've done something like this before in one of my previous videos. I think that was a grading system video. So if I'm moving too fast for you on this video, you can go back to that video and watch it. So grade system. So I'm literally going to just do the same thing we did in 2A. So let me just copy this. I'm just going to copy declaration of our variable. So then move up. So this is for the array. Then comment it out. So we have our array. Then we're going to open max.txt again. So I'm just going to copy from 2 again and read it again, read it into max by students. So comment this out again. The next step is to use a do loop, because we're going to loop through every value in max by students to use an if or then to find out how many students pass the test. So to do that, like I said, we're going to use a do loop. So do index, I'm going to use I, is equals to 1 to size of marks by students. So that's how many times we're going to iterate through the array. So yeah, then let's end our do loop. End do. Then next thing is we're going to create something called a outside the do loop rather. Sorry, outside the do loop, we're going to use something called, we're going to declare something called pass, which is, we're going to use that as 0. I'm going to give that 0. So I'm just going to write a comment here which just states how many students. So pass indicates how many students pass the test. I think in the grading system video, I just used an if else statement to check which one passed and which one failed. So we just displayed pass fail in front of each value, in front of each score. But in this, we're going to be calculating how many students pass the test. So let's declare something here called pass. It's going to be an integer. It's going to be an integer. Let's say pass. And then put in, sorry, then I'll have to put this inside the do loop, and put this inside the do loop. So okay, so then let me go back to the question. The question says using an if or then to find out how many students pass the test. So we're going to look through every value in marks by students. So we're just going to write if so if marks by students I. So what I did here is indicating that we're going to look through every value inside marks by students. If you don't understand it, please refer back to, I'm just going to leave the link of the grading system video in or you can watch previous videos in the Fortran playlist that will explain this to you. I've done multiple examples on this. So if marks by students is if the pass mark of the question is of the test is 5 out of 10, so if it is greater than or equals to 5, that means the person passed. So if this condition passes, I'm going to say then I'm going to say pass is equals to pass plus 1. Then let's end our if, and if. So at the end of the do loop, I'm going to come down here and print the amount of students that pass the test. So let me just put a do loop comment here before we move on. So do loop. I'm going to say loop. Okay. I'll say looping through the marks by students array. Okay. Okay, I'm going to say pass, comma, or the amount of the number of students that pass the test is, what to put quotation here is, and I'm going to put pass. Okay, so from we should be getting, okay, we have 7, 8, 10 and 5. We should be getting 5. Oh, I've not declared this I here, so let me just declare the I here before, and that will clear the error. So let's run that and see if that works. So the number of students that pass the test should be 5. Okay, we have 0. Okay, let me bring this out here for the do loop. Because I was very okay. So we have the number of students that pass the test is 5. The reason why this returned 0 at first was because this pass was inside the do loop, and when we're running a do loop, once it runs first as pass as 0, okay, let me just come back, bring it back inside the do loop. So that was my mistake. So once we're inside the do loop and it runs the first time, it's going to come back here, then take pass as 0 again, which will negate every calculation we've done here. You can imagine that pass at first here was equals to 1. Then on second run, it's going to come back here, then assume pass is equals to 0 again, which would just be like a counter effect of the calculation we're doing here. So the right thing we should have done, is putting the pass outside the do loop. What the pass outside the do loop does is that instead of assuming pass as 0 on every run or every iteration, the do loop continues to run and keep this value, and we declared this value already as pass. It stores this value temporarily. Then once the do loop is done, it comes out. Then this pass that we declared assumes the value of this one at the end of the do loop. So that's why we have pass as 5. So let me save that again and run it again to see if everything is working. Yes, number of students that pass the test is 5. So that's all for question 2b. Then moving on to question 2c. I'm just going to copy this. Question 2c is, I think, it's a different one. Yes. What are the values of x and a, both integer, during and after the following program section has been executed? So what we're going to do is we're just going to copy everything we have here. Copy everything and write it inside our Fortran file. So let's do that. So program, what can we name this? Program section. We name it program section. And then basically what we're going to do is just copy everything here. But before we do that, we have to declare variables first. As always, declare variables. Then yeah, we have 3 variables, a, I, and x. So let me just they're all integers. Question set integer a, comma I, comma x. Then I'm just going to copy everything we have here into the file. So a is equals to 0. I think I is equals to 1, and x is equals to 0. Yes, so a is equals to a plus 1, a plus 1, x is equals to x plus 1, x plus I, x plus I divided by a. Okay, then I think we have it the same block of code we have in this in the 4th and 5th line for the rest of the lines for 4 times, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, so let's go on. What I'm going to do is copy this 4 times. So copy, paste, 2, 4. Okay, so before we move on, I want to print something here. Let's say the values of x and a, to put into bracket before this is going to say for x and a, I'm going to put x and a. Then I'm going to come here, then say after so let's run that and see what we'll get. Let me clear the screen first, then run. You're getting something like 411 or so. Yes, you can see that the value of x and a before was 0, 0 and 0, and the value of x and a after was 1 and 4. So if you do your calculation, you should be correct. Then moving on to 2CII, the 2CII asks us to rewrite the program in question 3CI. So that should be 2CI more economically using a do loop. So basically what they're asking us to do is, so instead of this code reiteration, we should just put it inside a do loop. So for that, I'm going to, what am I going to do? So this one, I'm going to put the do loop inside the same program. I'm going to say do. I'm going to make a comment here. I'm going to say dash 2CII. So basically what we're going to do is, what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to copy this again to cancel out this effect, to cancel out the values of x and a after this runs. So I'm going to post this here, then I'm going to paste this index. I'm going to use j as our index for now because we already have a value I in the program already, which is this I. So I'm going to use j as our index, then start 1 to 4. The reason why I'm using 4 here is because this is run 4 times. This same block of code is run 4 times. Let me explain. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just going to paste just one block of that code inside the do loop. Then after that, I'm going to print. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to print this before the do loop, and after the do loop. So I'm going to also print out something here that will just indicate that there's a do loop going on in our results. So I'm just saying, okay, I'm just going to do this first, then create another one, create space, that's what I'm doing, and I'm going to write do loop. So let's run that. We should be getting the same result. So we can see that the results are the same. The value of x and a before, which is 0 and 0, x 1 and 4, we can see that they're the same result. So yeah, that concludes question number 2. Hope you liked the video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. And yeah.